Hey guys, welcome to the show. Tonight we're going to be talking about trucks and trailers and how do you tow your boat to the lake. This is what I used to tow my boat. It's just an F-150. It's got the little 2.7 EcoBoost twin turbo. Does very well. One thing I do not like about the truck is it actually it does squat some. Squats a little when I hook my boat up to it. I towed my buddy's boat. He's got a Carolina Skiff 238, and it squatted with his. It towed it well, does well in the mountains on the way to Tennessee, but it did squat it a little. So I will probably stiffen up the suspension eventually. But other than that, the truck's quick, gets good mileage, and I love it. Got 0% financing on this bad boy. Nice and roomy. Come on, you can sleep back here. Here's my drone. Got plenty of room up here. Plenty of room back here. Got the spray and bed liner. But yeah, what kind of truck do you guys have? Let us know in the comments.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
What's up, Wes?
What's going on, buddy?
Well, we have 5 people on so far.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a thing like you was talking earlier, people in their trucks. I used to think it was funny, turn this volume down, posting stuff about boats and fishing stuff. Never had a clue of a post would get blew up so much over a damn truck. I mean,
The truck is, it's like a man's dog. I mean, it's American. It's part of our culture. It's an extension of a lot of guys' egos. And
yeah.
It's just, everybody has their, and anytime you got an opinion on a truck, whether you're Dodge, Ford, Chevrolet, most of the time, if you're diehard one of them, it's because your dad was.
Yeah.
Or it could be that you got a job somewhere and the work truck happened to be a Chevrolet and you worked at that place for 7 years and that truck never broke down. So that's why you like Chevrolet. Or it could be you hate Ford because you worked somewhere and you drove a Ford for, 2 years and it's like it just stayed in the shop all the time. And so it put a bad taste in your mouth. So you hate Ford, but when it comes down to it, they're all good trucks.
Yeah, I think they all got their issues. I mean, here's the deal. I think at the end of the day, I think a lot of people is out there, and a lot of people sold on diesel. I got a diesel. I got this and I got that. I got this big motor. People's telling me you're going to have this to pull that Grady watch. You're going to have this to pull, half of these fools is giving me all these lectures and advice ain't even got a damn clue about their own truck, but you're giving other people advice on what they've got. Well, okay, I've got a Ford, you got a Dodge, you got a Chevrolet. If it does what you want it to do at the end of the day, that's really all that matters.
Yeah. I mean, you can pull a boat with just about any, you could pull a boat with a Ford Ranger, but is it going to have the power to tow it in the mountains? It's not going to have the ability to stop it, because it's.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if the suspension is a big deal. So a lot of the guys with the 3/4 ton diesels, a lot of that is their suspension is the reason they're towing so well. I mean, yes, they're not getting in the RPMs, they got turbo diesels and the boost is going up and keeping them from dropping a gear. And it is nice towing with a diesel, but when you're only towing, a dozen times a year or whatever, if you're only going to go to Tennessee, 8-10 times a year. I think most of these, especially these late model V8 trucks, even the V6s, like I got the EcoBoost. Man, the EcoBoost is light years ahead of V8s just from 5 to 10 years ago. A 5.4 Triton, a 3.5 EcoBoost, or even a 2.7 EcoBoost is just way more torque, way more horsepower, way more capable when it comes to towing than those old V8s.
Well, but at the end of the day, how long will that V6 hold up versus what a V8 would do?
Well, I mean, it's basically It's an engine, so it's especially with a turboed V6. You got smaller displacement, so there's more pressure in that engine. So you would think that they wouldn't last as long, but I know my 2.7 EcoBoost actually has a compressed graphite iron block. It's the same block that they use on the Power Stroke, the 6.7 Power Stroke. And from everything that I've gathered, extremely tough block, and those engines are set up for the long haul. And I know my friend, his EcoBoost has 210,000 miles on it. It's a 2013, and it runs absolutely perfect. We borrowed it to tow Alan's boat to Tennessee, over the last summer, and done surprisingly well. Alan's truck, he had the 5.4 Triton. I think it was a 2008 model Triton truck, 5.4. And on our way there, it started surging. He was having some issues with it. He said, I don't want to tow with this truck. So we turned around. We got my other friend's truck, which was a 3.5 EcoBoost 2013 model, whatever generation EcoBoost that was. And that is when I started looking into EcoBoost, because I had never been in a half-ton truck that towed that well. And the fact that it had a V6 in it was just mind-blowing.
Well, I'll tell you, I changed my mind on that 2,500. I did. I went back over to McKinney Dodge today, and they gave me a deal. I went ahead and bought a brand new, and I bought another 1,500. So let the comments begin. I did the research. I looked at some stuff about the gearing on the truck, and how much. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that truck was at 11.5, 11.6. I forgot the feet-pound of torque. But there again. And before y'all people start making these comments, here's the way I'm looking at this. So I don't really give a fuck. I know, and I probably shouldn't say this. Most of y'all's compensating because y'all some little dick motherfuckers anyway. So anyway,
Oh my God.
Here's the deal. I'm not pulling tractors. I'm not pulling bulldozers and earth moving machines. I'm not using.
Yeah, you're not working on an oil field.
20,000, 30,000 pounds every day.
You don't need a Mac. You're not working on an oil field.
Yeah. I go to Tennessee 4 or 5 times a year, maybe pull a boat around here a little bit. A truck that's rated for almost 12,000 pounds, I'm going to be pulling 5 with it. Why do I need to go up and get this big turbo Cummins, Allison diesel, such and such geared rear end that'll pull 29,000 pounds?
30,000.
30,000. What the hell? Are you kidding me? I'm not trying to overcompensate.
3,500 tows 30,000. I think the other one tows 20 something.
And I know everybody, like you said, it's almost like a culture thing. Everybody likes their truck.
It is. These super diesels definitely, it's definitely a culture. I mean, these guys are throwing tunes on their truck, and they're outrunning Corvettes with a full size 3/4 ton diesel truck that weighs 8,000 pounds. It's just crazy. I mean, these trucks are putting down 1,800 foot-pounds of torque, 600, 800 horsepower, 1,000 horsepower, whatever tune. You have custom tunes. You can actually tune your truck to where your transmission will shift light. It'll shift hard. Where your transmission shifts, you can put a custom tune on it where you can tap your brake pedal and it'll make it downshift for you. Like, it's just unlimited what you can do with these tunes. And there are a lot of pros to a diesel. I mean, a diesel truck they're state of the art, and I mean, it doesn't really get any better. The power's there, the horsepower's there, the longevity is there. I mean, you're looking at these Cummins. Some of these Cummins are 1,000,000-mile trucks. I mean, it's hard to argue against something that's gonna give you 1,000,000 miles.
Yeah.
So yes, they are expensive. They are more expensive to maintain. And if you don't have a farm, or you're not hauling heavy equipment, or you're not working on an oil field, or if you're not doing something that's going to justify having a diesel, I just don't see it. I mean, yeah, going to Tennessee, it is nice having a diesel, but you cannot tell me that a 2,500, 3/4 ton gas truck will not do perfectly fine. And even a 1,500, you just bought that 1,500. It's going to be interesting to see how you like it when you hook the Grady up to it. See if it makes it squat, or if it makes how it feels when you're braking coming down the mountain on your way home, when you're climbing. It's going to be interesting to see how you.
Well, I hooked it up to my wife's truck. I think these trucks have the same suspension. I think mine's geared different. because it's got a little bit more towing. It actually got a little bit more towing capacity than the white truck I bought her last year. Said first new vehicle. It's a 4-wheel drive. Never had a 4-wheel drive before. And there again, I don't know a lot about trucks.
The 4-wheel drive is crazy. You would think that a 4-wheel drive would give you more tow capacity, but 4-wheel drive actually takes away from it a little bit because it adds to your gross vehicular weight.
Yeah. But like I said, there again, and I know I put that post up there the other day, about, I just got that truck, and I don't think I've ever had that many comments about a boat. I'm like, I'm into boats, but there again, it's important to fish. I love to fish, but getting your boat there, maintaining a trailer. Everybody's got different things about what they like about boat trailers: surge brakes, electric brakes, tandem axle, dual axle, what brand trailer, what brand lights they run on. Everybody's got their preference. I've always been a Dodge man. I have owned Ford. I will say this about Chevrolet. I had a Chevrolet one time I bought shortly after me and Lori met. Had 83,000 miles on it. And there was a customer of mine, and I gave him $1,000 for the truck just because he wanted it out of his yard. I gave him $1,000 for that truck, and I put 200. It had 287,000 on it when I sold it, and it was running like a top, and I got $1,000 back for it.
What kind of truck was that, Wes?
It was just a Chevrolet. It was just a 1500 Silverado.
Okay.
Just awesome truck. But I've had 2 Fords in my life. Both of them used, and both of them son of a bitches left me stranded. Both of them, not one, both of them. So, and I just, and everybody's got their preference. I'm not talking shit about Ford. I just don't like Ford. I don't like the body styles of Ford.
It's whatever your experience is.
Okay, our buddy Alan, he's got a Ford. Would you like to go into detail about the trouble he had with that Ford he bought? Burning up power packs, seizing up spark plugs in the head.
Yeah, the early model 5.4, like we was talking about earlier, every truck is going to have at least, a handful of issues. And the issues on the 5.4 Triton motors where they would, the threads on the plug is threaded into the head, they weren't enough threads on them, and they would blow the spark. Basically, it'd blow the spark plug out of the head, or the spark plug would get seized up in the head.
Yeah,
and the later, the thing is, most of the time, if they make a particular body style or engine, long enough during a model era of a model, then they usually straighten most of the things out. Like in the Allen's truck, for example, the later models didn't have as many issues as the earlier model 5.4 Tritons did. Same thing with the 6.0 diesel. When Ford that was like the first super diesel to come out. They had Navistar make it, which international trucks, and they rushed it because the EPA was cracking down on them. Imagine that. The Environmental Protection Agency was cracking down on them for smog, pollution, emissions. And so they had to rush the 6.0 engine. Well, that was your first like super diesel. That was the first, massive horsepower gains. You could hook a tuner up and, you could outrun a Mustang stoplight to stoplight. But the problem was guys were putting these tunes on these trucks, and the head bolts were torque to yield head bolts, and they weren't strong enough to hold that much power. And then you had an issue with you had an engineering flaw in the EGR system because it run alongside the coolant system, and the coolant would get so hot because of the EGR that it would actually boil the additives out of the coolant, which would then clog the oil cooler, which this led to all kinds of problems. You would bust the seals in the oil cooler, water would mix in your oil, coolant would mix with your oil. But it was just a huge, they got sued. Ambulances were breaking down because, they were running those 6.0 diesels, and, it was just a huge deal, and it gave 6.0, that 6.0 Power Stroke, a horrible reputation. But the thing is they come out with it in 2003. Well, by 2005, they had worked a lot of those bugs out. 06, 07 were even better. The EGR was still plaguing it. But other than that, It was a great engine. And if you delete the EGR on those 6.0s, they're just as reliable as a 7.3, freight train. They're great engines, but once a truck or an engine gets a bad reputation like that, it's hard to shake it. And the good thing is for us consumers is we can get a lot of good trucks that have those bad reputations. We can get good deals on them because nobody really knows what to do.
Well, when I went back over there today, I stayed over there for about 6 hours. And I was looking at all these different options on these trucks, and I'm not saying this bragging. I could have drove any fucking truck on that lot. I could have drove off today. They had some diesels over there. With what's that transmission everybody talks about?
Allison.
Yeah. And I look at all $75,000-$80,000 for what? For me to pull a Grady White to Tennessee 4 or 5 times a year.
Allison Chevrolet runs the Allison.
No.
I don't know what Dodge runs. I think it starts with an A. But.
Yeah. But I looked at 2 of those diesel trucks over there. One was 81, another one was 70-something thousand dollars. And I'm thinking, for what? What am I going to pay? Still have a $600, $700, $800 a month truck payment for something that I would really get the good out of it when I go to Tennessee.
Yeah.
So and I can beat my chest and say I got an $80,000 diesel. Boom, boom, boom. My dick's little, but I've got a.
Well, what was the price difference in the 2500 with the 6.4 Hemi?
Yeah.
How much less was it versus the diesel?
I don't know. I don't remember. But they gave me. I got a really good deal on that truck. After they told me the bottom dollar on it, I got to look and I searched within 100 miles, and I couldn't find a deal on that same truck. They were $4,000 cheaper on that truck than anybody was 100 miles from me. I got the truck for almost $7,000 under MSRP. I got some rebates back from Chrysler. But there again, I looked at the truck. I know what I'm going to be towing. And I don't know if anybody else offers this or not. I didn't look at Ford or Chevrolet because I don't like Ford or Chevrolet. I've got a lifetime powertrain warranty, and that being 5 years, 60,000 miles. Okay, and whichever comes first, it'll automatically transfer over to Zurich warranty, extended warranty people. That's something Chrysler's often on a certain year trucks, certain model trucks. So, hey, I keep the truck 30 days. He said, keep the truck 30 days, pull your boat with it. If you don't like it, bring it back. We'll upgrade you, do something different.
That's great.
If I like the truck and I keep it, I'll never have to worry about a transmission in that truck. And I'm still getting a lot better gas mileage. And I don't really care for diesel there. Again, to me, it stinks. It's loud. Then, me and Mike Bradford was talking about trucks. Then every so often, you've got to take it somewhere and have the collector can cleaned out of it from the soot. And diesels at the end of the day, they burn trash. Diesel is a trash fuel. We all know that. I just don't care for. I just don't like it.
They're pretty quiet nowadays.
But
you get a diesel, you'll get wrapped up in that culture, and you'd like it.
A culture thing, but
you'd like it. I mean, because they are awesome trucks. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. A gasoline truck is definitely inferior to it. Yeah. But now the question is, whether or not you can justify owning a diesel, and it's hard to justify.
Exactly. Yeah, for what I do.
Exactly.
I own a heat and air company, and even some of the heavy equipment, commercial equipment I buy, I can have it delivered, or some of the guys I sub from, they put it on a trailer and pull it. I don't have to put it in the back of a truck. Corey, it's a 2022. It is a brand new truck. I think it had 8 miles on it, and I test drove it. And but anyway, I got the truck I traded Lori's truck in. I got $22,000 on the gray truck, and that truck, I think I got it for. I paid $15,000 cash, and I think I financed about $11,000. I just wanted to leave it so I keep my credit going. I had a little money, but I just don't want to tie up a lot of my cash in something because of what's going on now with Ukraine, and we don't know what's going to happen. I just want to keep some cash on hand, so I financed it. They did it for 7 years, and I think my payment's like $200 a month. But I mean, I'll probably pay it. I could pay it off. They said I could wait 3 months to see what happens if I want to. Then I could go ahead and pay it off with no early termination fee. But for the warranty I got on the truck, I love it. It's a beautiful truck. I've never owned a new truck before. It's 4-wheel
What color
drive.
is it, Wes?
Huh?
What color is it?
It's billet. I think it's billet silver.
Okay.
It's kind
So
of
it's
like a
like a
grayish silver color.
Gray. Yeah.
Yeah. And they went ahead and gave me Cirrus radio for a year. I've got three oil changes, 3 tire rotations, and 3 alignments free. So for that kind of money, it was almost like a no-brainer. And like I said, going up to Tennessee, yeah, I don't have to go up the mountain at 75 and 80 miles an hour. So I'm gonna try it. Like I said, I got 30 days to take it back if I don't like it, but I think I'm gonna like it.
Corey Sharp said he just bought a 2022 GMC 2500 for $45,000. That sounds like that's about half price on that truck, ain't it?
I was gonna say, boy, that's a good price on a GMC. Go hell, your step. GMC is really a pretty good step above just a Chevrolet, isn't it, JR?
I mean, the engine's the same. I mean, yeah, your trim levels and everything are different, but yeah, it's like Lincoln is to Ford. I mean, Ford's new Super Duty is because Ford's always farmed out their diesels. Their diesels have been made by Navistar for years. I mean, I think even the 6.9, the 7.3 was actually Navistar, and all the way up to the 6.4. And then when they went to the 6.7 diesel, which was, I think, in 2012, 15, somewhere around there. Anyways, Ford actually makes that diesel engine.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys are absolutely loving it. It's so far, I'd say out of the last 5 different diesel engines the Ford's had, I think the 6.7 has been the best so far.
Yeah. Yeah, Corey, I think, that's a good price on that truck. A 2022 GMC 2500 for $45K.
He got the 6.6 liter gas. Corey did.
Oh, okay.
In the 2500.
Yeah. And there again, like I said, I don't, we all like to joke and kid around. I don't knock another, if you like diesel, you like diesel. If you don't, you don't. I just, and like I said, I've never had a new truck before. I've had a 4-wheel drive. And I'll tell you, in that Dodge, I was at Milton Hill Dam last year just with that C-Arc. And the ramp was wet. And you can ask, I don't know if Daryl Barney's still on here or not, but that Dodge on Lori's truck, it was spinning trying to get up there. I had to get some people to actually get on the bumper because I couldn't get traction. So, but now I've got 4-wheel drive, so I kind of put that into play in this too.
That's good.
But like I said, the boat, everybody's looking at that Grady. The boat weighs 3,800 and some odd pounds. It's under 4,000 pounds dry. So by the time you put a battery on it, I mean, your batteries, your gear, and your motor, I'm still going to be right at 5,000.
And the trailer.
Yeah, and the trailer. So, and the truck's made to haul over 11,000 pounds.
Right.
And then from my understanding, from the literature I read, Dodge and Ford and Chevrolet both, they usually give you a little bit over. They're not going to keep you right at that level. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They're probably telling you the lowest end.
I think what you're going to run into is, from my experience, because I've towed a heavy boat, all around here, and I've towed one in Tennessee in a 1500.
Yeah.
And my boat, you're probably looking at around, I don't know, close to 5,000 pounds. So a little less. It's less than the Grady, but on the way, it's like when I go to Santee, it's perfect. I mean, it tows it like a dream. When I go to Murray, it tows it like a dream. Norman, anywhere around here, anywhere that's not Tennessee. When I go to Tennessee, you're going to be in the passing gear.
Yeah,
but hey,
you're on a grade.
That's okay. Now, in a diesel, what you'd notice in a diesel, you'd look at your gauges and you'd look at your boost gauge, and your boost would be going up, and your RPMs would be staying about the same, and your boost would go up, and your RPMs will stay the same, and it would just, it's like it just tows it so like effortlessly, even up mountains and shit, because it's got 2,000 foot-pounds of torque. It's got a turbo so it is nice, but the gasoline engine, yes, you're going to be in the RPMs and it's going to be working, but hey, I mean, that's why you're using synthetic oil, and that's why you're, keep maintaining the vehicle. And just because you run a vehicle hard doesn't mean that you're being hard on it.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, even if I was a guide and I fished every day around here, it would be different.
It's going to be interesting. The main thing I
number
think is
one.
going to, when you're coming down the mountain and you need to stop or you need to slow down, you know,
Yeah.
going around the curves, you need to get on the brakes.
Yeah.
How's it going to feel when you get on the brakes? You know, that's going to be the
Well,
telltale.
I'm having surge brakes put on the trailer, so that should cover that. I mean, and there again, everybody we're talking about pulling and horsepower.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about surge brakes?
Yeah, it's important to stop.
Surge brakes versus electric
going.
brakes.
Huh?
Surge brakes versus electric brakes. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, me personally, I've heard electric brakes, you have a lot more issues with them. They're more, I don't know.
They do, I think, have more issues. They're definitely more of a maintenance queen, you know, especially if you're going to be fishing saltwater.
Yeah.
But as far as like how they work, I think they work better. I mean, you can set you got a brake controller, you can set the amount of braking that you want and all that crap. So.
Yeah, I guess that's what that little squeeze thing is and on my dash.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
put it together. See, I ain't never used nothing like that. Like I said, I'm not no big heavy equipment operator. I'm not like Daryl Barney, you know, pulling around a big old 37-foot aluminum tub with about 600-gallon bait tank in it.
Yeah, he's got a Bushwhacker's old boat, don't he?
Yeah, you know, and hell, he's got a 600-gallon Shad Shack in it that's got 15 strips of flex tape on it, leaking water everywhere in the down boat, you know, and 25 batteries in it. So, hell yeah, he's got to have one.
Corey Ramsey said, drive what you can afford. That's the best advice for you. Hey, I towed a 1442 Alumacraft for years in a 5-speed Escort.
What?
Yeah. A Wesco trailer, done very well too, believe it or not.
Man, what'd you tow it with now?
A Ford Escort ZX2.
Damn.
Yeah, sure
A
did.
Ford Escort.
1442 Alumacraft with a 25 Johnson, Bombardier
Damn.
Johnson. Yep, I towed it for a couple of years. The boat, the picture that I shared on Facebook, it's got my daughter up front. She's like 4 years old, and I'm in the back with the tiller and the rods on the side of the boat. That was the that was the boat that I towed with the Escort.
Oh, okay. What is a now? See, I didn't know this. Jason Penley said no brakes on a trailer, exhaust brakes is the ticket. I know James. When me and James last time we hooked my Sea Arc up to James Long's, that big $80,000 F250 he's got, that son of a bitch was struggling going up the mountain. It sounded like, I mean, it was making some of the god awful sounds I've ever heard in my life. I mean, really, it was. James can say what he wants to. You know, he gets all tweeted up. He can't hear shit. That he said, no, that's my exhaust brake. I'm like, dude, we're going up a hill. Why is it trying to put on brakes going up a hill? But anyway, what is an exhaust brake? Is that just
it's using exhaust gases, back pressure to it's using the engine to brake with exhaust gases.
To do that when you put on brakes?
Yeah, it's all electronic. It's all in the tune. It's all you do is you hit a button, kind of like, you know, the buttons that you hit to change from tow haul to slippery to, you know, all those are actually tunes on your truck, and diesels have tunes.
So, well, let me ask you this: is that what? And there again, I'm asking a dumb question because I don't know. I ain't never had no 18-wheeler or tractor trailer. But what do they call Jake braking? Because I've seen signs every now and then.
It's the same thing, except you're talking about a Caterpillar. No, they're using the engine. They're braking with the engine.
Gearing down, making it louder.
No, you just let off the throttle, and basically they're closing off their exhaust, and it's braking the engine. It's making the engine do this, and it slows everything down. The gasoline engines can do it as well, you know. And it's the reason it's so loud on the big transfer trucks on the interstate is because those are giant Caterpillar diesels. And, you know, these little 365 cubic inch diesels in these 3/4 ton trucks are like nothing compared to a heavy truck engine. But you can engine brake in a gas truck as well. My truck's got it. When you put it on tow haul, it'll do that.
Hey, while I see Mike Bradford on here, let me give a big shout out to Mike. You know, when I bought that 2500, I called Mike, asked him about it. You know, Mike's got a lot of trucks. I didn't realize he had actually 31 trucks in his fleet. I don't guess he'll mind me telling you all that. Mike's exact words to me was, he said, Wes, he said, I love Ford. That's why I've got a Ford. Mike's got probably one of the most jacked up Fords you've ever seen in your life, dude. Now, it is badass. I don't like Ford, but that's a badass truck. He spent a lot of money on it. But he said, Wes, he said, when I had my business, and Mike, if I'm saying this wrong, let me know if you're still on here. He said, Wes, I've tried some of my businesses with Chevrolets and Fords, and he said, my help would tear them all to hell. He said, I started buying Dodges, and he said, for my work trucks, he said, I'll never buy nothing else but a Dodge. He said, those trucks are just tough as shit. He said, I will not buy a Ford or Chevrolet again for a work truck. He said, them guys that work for me are hard as hell on trucks. And he said, they can't tear a Dodge up. You know, and I guess at the end of the day, like I said, it's just whatever people like. You know, I don't, you know, people can talk shit about me. I'll drive a Dodge fine. Ain't nobody making my truck payment. I talk shit about people's Ford and Chevrolet, but at the end of the day, I'm not making their truck payment. They're the ones driving it. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's just like Corey said, you know, drive what you can afford. And sometimes, you know, or drive what's plausible for you. Like I said, I could drive any truck off of McKinney Dodges. I can go back over tomorrow and drive any truck, buy any truck that they've got on that lot. Mm-hmm. But is it going to be worth it to me? No, I'm not a super rich man. I'm still working for a living. I just can't see paying $80,000 no more than what I would do for what that $50,000 truck out there is going to do, if that makes any sense to anybody. Like I said, I'm not trying to impress nobody, you know, and I know my thing's big. I'm not trying to compensate for that. So there's no need for me to get an $80,000 truck right now at this point in time. But I did get a new truck today. I bought my wife one last year. And, you know, I told her what was going on. And she said, baby, please buy it. I don't care what it costs. Just get you a new truck, blah, blah, blah. So I've got a truck sitting out there with 24 miles on it right now. And I hope it does good and it lasts me, because I don't like switching vehicles. Hell, my work truck's a 2006 and it's been tough as hell. There's nothing in it power. It's got 100,000 miles on it. It's a Dodge. I have to roll the windows up by hand. I have to move the seat back and up by hand. It don't have lumbar. It don't have heated nothing in it. And it's a work truck. That's what I bought it for.
Now, your trailers, it's got surge brakes, right?
No, I'm going to have surge brakes put on.
You're going to have surge brakes put on?
Yeah, I'm going to have surge brakes put on the front axle. And that was another thing about that trailer. It's got hubs. If you look inside the wheels, it's got drums on it. Don't know why they didn't put surge brakes on it or electric brakes or whatever reason. Mm-hmm. But we pulled one of the tires off and it's got drums on there and they look good. So my buddy said he could put surge brakes on it for about $900 per axle. So he said, Wes, he said, with the size of this boat, he said, you just one axle, you should be good. So,
well, I mean, you can't, unless you took the hub off, you can't, the drum off. You don't, they might have brakes already in there.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't even think about that.
Maybe the tongue.
You gotta buy, what do you call that thing you put up at the tongue that goes to the back? You got to buy the coupler.
Right. Yeah.
And
that might be all you needed.
Yeah.
Did you look and see if it had actual brake lines? Like
no,
running along the
axle? Didn't see no, there's no lines nowhere. So that's why, you know, like the guy, he said, I don't understand why they've even got drums on it. There's no lines here. There's no nothing. So I don't know if there's shoes in there or not. You know,
sounds like they just, they just used instead of getting idler hubs, they went ahead and went with those type hubs in case, you know, because they knew that brakes were going to get put on the trailer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's probably already got brake shoes on. It's probably, I would imagine it's set up for surge brakes.
Yeah.
But you just have to run everything. I like surge brakes. Electric brakes, I'm pretty sure electric brakes are better as far as like how they brake, the braking and the system, how it actually brakes the trailer as you're towing it. It actually does a better job than surge brakes.
Yeah.
But surge brakes they're just less maintenance, and you know, you don't have to worry about it as much.
Yeah. Well, you know, and there again, I'm with what the gas prices are now. I don't know how long it's going to be before diesel and gas gets any cheaper. There's no telling what it's liable to hit. You know, but there again, I think everything for me is I'm not trying to. I just don't want to spend a bunch of money on something that I don't need. You know, I
Right.
guess I'm kind of about that. You know, I want to get my money's worth out of whatever I've got.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, if that don't pull that Grady White like I think it should, hell, I'll go get another truck.
I think it will. I mean, my
I
buddy,
really do.
I had a friend that had a big Grumman, like a 21-foot Grumman boat. It's an aluminum boat, but they're not light. And he
Yeah.
had a Chevrolet. He had that old the LS, the small LS, the little 4.8.
Now, what is LS? I seen that those in the comments the other day. What is an
That
LS?
is that's a push rod V8 engine that GM has stuck by for years. Matter of fact, I mean it's in their new Corvette. I mean they have just stuck by it, whereas all the other manufacturers like Ford has went to a overhead cam design, a modular motor, which the cams are above the crank, and it kind of makes the engine a little more top heavy. And but the old the push rod is it's just it's dinosaur technology, but it's proven. And I mean they're not going to get great gas mileage, but the power is the power's there, and the dependability's there, the reliability's there. I think it's what saved Chevrolet.
Well, Dave, we've been talking about trucks a lot, you know, and let's talk about trailers. You know, I know the guy, my buddy Anthony Finley. He bought a Carolina skiff, brand new from Palmetto Boat Center. I think he's had that boat probably 8 or 9 years now. That boat looks brand new, and it's a 21 DLV, and it came with a single axle trailer. You know, and it's got the oil bath hubs.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he said, Wes, he said, I've never did nothing to this trailer. Never. He said, I've never had to adjust nothing on it. He's, you know, put tires on it.
Which trailer is this?
It's an easy loader.
That's for
his skiff. He's got a skiff.
Oh, his skiff. Okay.
Yeah, I was talking about Anthony.
Okay.
You know, and he said a couple of times he was talking about, I think Patrick Miller had the same trailer. But, you know, Patrick added, he made a tandem axle out of his. You know, and I guess at the end of the day, a tandem axle, what I liked about it, because I've had one flat with it since I had a tandem axle trailer, then, you know, you can keep going.
Yeah.
You know, but there again, I guess the more stability you got under a boat and make sure your trailer's rated right for your boat.
I know they mine has a junky trailer. It's a caravan trailer. It's a single axle trailer on my big old boat, but it's a heavy duty single axle trailer. I mean, the hubs are huge. The axle's huge. You know, it's a 6 lug.
Yeah.
You know, 6 or 7,000 pound, you know, so it's really heavy duty, but still I would rather have 4 wheels at what is it, like 2,000 pounds, 1,500 pounds each. You know, mine's a 6,000, so 6,000 would be 3,000 pounds each hub.
Each axle.
Yeah. So each side. So you know, 7,000 would be 3,500 each side, and you know, and
my trailer on that Grady is 6,000 pounds.
So if it's 6,000 pounds, it would be 6 divided by 4. That's what, you know, weight hubs you have on each.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
I'm glad to see you on here. Kenny Weaver just got out of the hospital.
I want to convert to old bath.
And Kenny, it's good to see you on here, buddy. Glad you're still with us. James Long was keeping me up to date on how you was doing. Prayers for you, brother. Jake Turner, I hadn't heard from you in a minute. But, yeah, you know, and like I said, I had a couple of friends I reached out to and about trucks, but I think I've got I've got what I want, and I'm going to try it and see, you know, it's trial and error. But
let's see. Daryl Barney said that Johnson ordered a 9,600 pound trailer, no brakes. So I guess he's going to put his own brakes on there. I guess. Surely he's not going to pull it without brakes.
Damn, how much that boat weight he's got?
It's probably pretty heavy. I mean, you could get away without brakes, like if your boat and everything, probably, you know, if it weighs less than, I don't know, 4,000 pounds, you could probably get away, especially with a 3/4 ton truck. But anything over that, you got to slam on brakes, and you find yourself in a situation where you have to slam on brakes. You don't want to be slamming on brakes in a half-ton truck with a 7,000-pound boat behind you with no brakes on it.
Yeah. Darrell said his trailer is 9,600, no brakes. Well, I thought you said Anthony Johnson. Wait a minute. Let's see.
So you guys are actually towing y'all's big vessels loaded down. God knows how much you weight all that is with no trailer brakes at all.
Undoubtedly.
I'll be right back.
All right. But bathroom break. Hey, Clint Lassard, what are you doing, buddy? Oh, Darrell, what you said? You said Johnson orders my trailer new. Let's see. Johnson ordered a 96-pound trailer, no brakes. Oh, that's what he ordered for you, Darrell? Mike Bradford said no brakes. No. Well, I would say, and this is just speaking off the top of my head, anything you're pulling, especially that kind of weight, your vehicle or your truck may stop it. But, how well would it stop it if you had to slam on brakes all of a sudden? Or, how long is your brake shoes going to last or your brake pads going to last if you're hauling that kind of weight a lot and your brake pads is trying to stop 4,000 or 5,000 pounds or whatever you're hauling plus the weight of your vehicle. I don't know. I didn't have brakes on the Sea Ark. That trailer had surge brakes, but I had them disengaged. I had the pin in the tongue right there so they couldn't engage. And I never had no trouble stopping that boat. But, that boat don't weigh what this Grady White does either. So,
if you really want to get fancy, you can get electric brakes with disc brakes.
Yeah.
I had electric brakes on my boat at one time, but they were brake shoes. They were kind of like the surge brakes, the same idea. Your shoes pushing up against the inner wall of the drum, but
yeah,
they actually have electric disc brakes like it's on a car. That's nice.
Well, it really don't matter what you do now. You're going to pay for it.
Yeah. Mike Bradford said you'll warp those rotors real quick.
Well, when you stop in a lot of weight, and even at those 2,500s, that's still a lot of weight to be pulling the trailer around with at least a little bit of something to kind of absorb some of that pressure you're trying to stop them at 5,000 pounds. Say my boat weighs 5,000 pounds. Hell, that's more than that truck weighs. You're trying to stop the truck and that boat. There again, probably wouldn't be bad if you just pulled around level ground. You're just going a couple of miles down the road, whatever. Hope you don't have to slam on brakes. But there again, it's pulling a long ways. That's kind of where your brake shoes out.
So does everybody on here pretty much agree that oil bath bearings are the way to go? Or bearing buddies better? Grease through, what do you call them? Where the grease fittings actually.
Bearing buddy.
No, not the bearing buddy. The grease fitting is actually on the spindle. And
that's the way my Sea Ark was. They were
grease through
in the fitting.
Yeah, it's a grease through spindle. So you put your grease in, it actually goes through the spindle out into your bearings.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Okay. And then you just pack your cap and pop it on there. I mean, those seem to be, I don't know. I have spun a bunch of bearings, and I've spun it on the grease through spindles, and I've also spun them on just a regular spindle with bearing buddies. I've never had the oil baths. I've always wanted to try them. It's what tractor trailers have on their trailers. Anyways, they have the oil bath bearings. on those trailers. And I mean, those things go for like millions of miles. So oil bath equals 100,000 miles, no maintenance. That's pretty amazing. I couldn't imagine that because I'm changing my bearings once a year. I used to wait, and I used to do it every 2 years. Now I'm doing it every single year. I don't play around with that crap. Let's see. I spun a bearing like 2 years ago. I was supposed to be meeting Shane Reel and Chris Hovis down at Wiley. I was on my way, and the damn wheel come off. And
was that the night me and Shane was talking to you on the phone when we were catching them fish up there in Tennessee?
no, this was I was on my way to Lake Wiley. This was in like August. I might have been talking to you guys. I don't know, but all I know is the wheel come off my trailer, and I was only like a month past 2 years. Like that at that time, I was changing my bearings every 2 years, and I was a month past the 2 year mark, and I just totally smoked bearing so bad that the entire hub come off with the tire and the wheel and everything. So I do it once a year now.
You change now, so greasing them 2 or 3 times a year or once a year, whatever you need. That don't.
No, I mean, greasing them, so you're not really doing anything. You could actually be damaging them. And I mean, because you always have to, poke your head up under that trailer and look on the inside of the hub, make sure you're not popping that seal out. When you're adding grease to it, make sure that you're not, the grease isn't coming out from the seal. And you're actually supposed to jack your trailer up and turn your wheel as you grease it.
Yeah, grease them, yeah.
I mean, it's just, I don't do that. I take my rubber grommet out of the hub and I look in there, and if it looks like that I have any water intrusion at all, guess what I'm doing? They're coming out and I'm putting new ones in. I mean, I'm not even like going to clean them and like repack them or not. No, they're coming out and putting new ones in, new grease, new seals, new everything. I mean, it takes me like literally like 20 minutes each side to do that. So it's cheap insurance.
It's almost like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we always talk about fishing, where we fish, how we fish, like what we like to catch, blah blah blah. But
I was supposed to get
your boat to the water.
I was supposed to get in a bass tournament this past weekend, but they actually mandated me to work, and it was the Freightliner bass tournament, which blows my mind because they mandated materials to work, and I work in materials, and there was a handful of guys that put in vacation and was able to get off to fish it. Well, by the time I put in my vacation to get off, vacation was full. So I couldn't get off. So I couldn't fish the Freightliner bass tournament. But anyways, I'm kind of glad because it ended up being 45-mile-an-hour gust. And the low that night was going to be 19 degrees. And I think the high that day was like 36 or something crazy.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Oh, man. It was like white capping out there. They had like 3-4 footers on Lake Wiley.
Scott Perry said, when you get into that situation, he said it's best just to replace the whole hub and be done.
Yeah, I mean, I won't replace the whole hub unless I spin a bearing. If I spin a bearing and the races have like scarred the inside of the hub, then yeah, I'll go ahead and replace the entire hub and everything. Like when I just, if the hub is in perfect condition, I'll just replace the inner and outer bearing, once a year. I mean, I'm not replacing the races. So, yeah, I haven't had that problem.
That other Westco trailer I had, I'm going to have to look. And, I kept an extra hub assembly in my truck all the time.
Yeah.
Kept it under the seat.
I mean, they're cheap, you know? I mean, a hub assembly for my boat's probably $35. And I mean, it comes with the bearings already, already greased.
So. Now, what's bad though is when you scar or burn that spindle.
Yes. Yep. I mean, but everything's replaceable. That's what's good is you can, if you scar your spindle, I mean, yeah, go ahead and go ahead and put you a new hub on there, new bearings, whatever, and run it for a little while, but go ahead and get you another axle, don't, that peace of mind is priceless.
Yeah.
Don't be going to Tennessee and then in the back of your mind, you're thinking, oh man, that one spindle is scarred up, man. I hope it's all right. You're driving and you're constantly looking in the mirrors, like, oh dang, is it gonna, You need to be paying.
Or is it going to break down on 40 where I've got nowhere to pull off?
Right, exactly.
You know, Anthony Finley, while you're watching, Anthony, I was talking about your boat earlier. If you're listening, I think Anthony said he got that boat. I want to say he's 8 or 9 years old. I could be wrong, but he said, he had a single axle trailer, oil bath hubs. He said he's never had an issue with his trailer. And Anthony used to fish a whole lot. He switched jobs last year. He slowed down a little bit, but if I'm not mistaken, he's talked one time about putting a tandem axle trailer under his, but he's pulling a 21 DLV around loaded, with gear and a 30. I know he's got a 30-pound Ron Best bait tank. And he said he's never had an issue, never spun a hub that I know of.
Yeah. There are other things that can go wrong on a tandem axle trailer, with a single axle trailer, at least that's all you have. You have the axle and you have the leaf springs, and that's it. I mean, that's really all there is to it. With a tandem axle, you have, those little things that swivel in the middle.
Yeah.
So you got a lot more that can go wrong under there. That stuff, my cousin's, his broke going on the way to the beach one time. So the good thing about,
I was right, JR. He's had it since 2013. Easy loader, bathtubs.
No issues ever.
Not an issue. That's awesome.
That is awesome. And I think, like you mentioned earlier, with your spindle getting scarred up, I think a lot of people, the repeat offenders, the guys that are constantly having issues spinning bearings, I think that's probably their issue, is their spindles being scarred up, putting new bearings on a scarred up spindle.
Well, I'm going to have mine back this week, hopefully. So I guess my next major fishing trip is going to be Middle Tennessee. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm interesting. We got to report back. I got to know how that goes.
Yeah, I think, Chuck and Justin's coming up. They're going to fish with me a couple of days. And I guess, are you still coming up? Or are you going to come up and fish a couple of days?
When are we talking about?
It'll be sometime in April. I'm just going to see what the water flow's doing. The rain. I mean, last year it was almost a blowout, man, for me. I mean, I went 2 different times. First time,
I'm sure I'll come.
Lost it. Second time, I got one fish to the boat, 37, 38 pounds. They was flushing the dam. Seemed like they was flushing it every day, trash floating down. Then they got all that rain up in Kentucky. Then there for 3 days, we were in almost blood milk water. I mean, it was terrible. So I'm not going to jump up there this year. I'm going to wait and see, watch the rain and the flows and see how it is.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be as bad as last year.
I hope not. I think, Anthony Darrell was telling me the other night, when they were up there, they got caught in that. They were calling for, for whatever reason, that's calling about an inch or so of rain. And while they were sleeping, they got almost 7 inches of rain. And they almost got stranded. Yeah. The Caney was out of its banks. It flooded.
I saw that. Yeah. It had come all the way up almost to the driveway.
Yeah.
At that.
Well, it covered some of the driveway. They couldn't even really tell how to get out, I think.
Wow.
Darrell said they had to put waders on or tall boots and was trying to feel their way to see what was going to be the shallowest place to get out.
That is.
And after they got out, the water got actually deeper. I mean, the Caney was out of its banks, like they said nobody's ever seen before, and they almost got stranded up there. So.
I agree, Scott. Yeah, just go ahead and replace the whole hub. Yeah, be done with it.
What's up, Tim Whitfield?
Wesco, is that a good trailer? Wesco, I've kind of heard mixed reviews. I've had a Wesco trailer and it seemed like a pretty good trailer to me. I didn't have it very long. I think I only had that boat for like 2 years. But what are you guys' thoughts on that?
The thing with Wesco, I had a Wesco under that Sea Arc, never had an issue. And this boat's got a Wesco. But I think there was a guy, Wesco Trailers is down in South Carolina. The guy that used to own Wesco, they put, and this is just from what I've heard, he put a lot of pride into his work, did a lot. They were excellent trailers. And then I heard when he sold it that they kind of fell off a little bit. And I don't know what year that was.
Well, I'm sure they're all getting their parts from China. So.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you can buy Timken bearings and have made in America bearings, but most of the bearings you buy, and I like the Chinese bearings because if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to and I'm not keeping up with the maintenance on my trailer, I get some water intrusion in there, and before you know it, I'm spinning a bearing. If I'm going to spin a bearing, I would much rather spin a cheap bearing than I would an expensive Madewell bearing, because the Timken bearings are more likely to scar your spindle up than a cheap Chinese bearing. So I like to just go ahead and use the cheap bearings, and I replace them once a year, and I'm good.
That's right. Well, like I said, at the end of the day, I remember when I bought my first boat, my 5th grade elementary school teacher, he come over to the house and he was telling me all stuff about a boat. And I remember I put an Eagle depth finder on it, one of those black and white depth finders. And it was one of the ones where if you clicked it on a certain thing, it would, if there was a fish under there, it'd show you a little emblem of a fish. I was like, hell yeah, I was somebody. I got somebody else going to tell me a fish under my boat. But anyway, he said, Wes, he said, most important thing about this boat is getting it to the water, because he said, if you can't get it to the water, you can't fish. And that's when he told me, he said, always make sure grease your bearings, buddy. He said, when you pull a boat a long ways, or especially a trailer that you're not used to, or you just got it, he said, after you pull it a couple of miles, get out and fill your hubs. He said, they should stay cool. He said, if they're warm, if they've got any heat into them at all, you've got issues. He said, they should be ambient temperature wherever you're pulling the boat.
That's right. Yep. Always, anytime you're on your way to fish, you get out, always kind of walk by and give it a little touch. Make sure it's just, no more than just warm.
And whether you have a tandem, whether you have a single, or whether you have a triaxle trailer, always have a spare.
Mm-hmm.
Spare tire. Peace of mind.
That's right.
Well,
I thought that this show would get more attention, but
we had about 20 something on there at one time, but I told everybody I bought a new Dodge and they just got off. So maybe we don't have a lot of Dodge fans on here tonight. But like I said, I don't give a damn. I don't like Ford and Chevrolet. I bought what I like, so I have to live with the consequence. Nobody else does.
Yeah. Old Ram. Dodge, for some reason, they took their name off of the Ram. It's like a separate entity now.
Yeah, it is. So you know what you got? You used to have Chrysler, Plymouth, then you had Dodge, and it used to be Plymouth, Dodge, Chrysler, and
Jeep.
Ram, and Jeep, and Mazda. They got Mazda now too. So I remember that guy. He did tell me today. He said when you get your emails, about your service and stuff, and your tire rotation and your alignment, he said it'll come from a Mazda. He said, open that email. Don't think they're trying to sell you nothing. He said, that's us. That's just the way that'll come through that format. So. And Jeeps, you couldn't give me a Jeep. That's some of the most highest price shit for what it is I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, God, I'm telling you.
Jeeps are astronomical.
Do you remember that old commercial back in the day, back in like the 80s? It was something GMC.
Yeah.
And a Zuzu too. You remember the guy, the puppet would come up and be like a Zuzu too.
Zuzu too.
Yeah.
JR, you know who you look like when you said that?
No.
Joe Biden.
Oh,
Joe Biden.
No, I'm just kidding. Zuzu too. Daryl Barney, I promise you, brother. Unless the good Lord's willing or something knocks the hell out of me in my head, you ain't.
And the creek don't rise. Unless the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise.
I hope you'll never see me driving a diesel. And there again, I'm not knocking diesels. I'm sure they're good for what everybody likes them. I don't like the smell of them.
Yeah, well, these new ones, they sound like a V8. Like when you're
and they still stink like shit, and the fuel's trash.
But when you stomp on that thing, bruh, I'm telling you right now, it'll give you that.
Hey, I'll tell you what, unless you got one super tuned with that e-torque motor, you get in my wife's truck and I'll show you something. I'll break your neck in it.
Oh yeah, they're quick, but
yeah,
that's that they're not going to stand a chance against a tuned diesel. I can promise you that. I mean, those trucks
But
are,
there again, tuned.
yeah,
and
from the
government-
factory, they're turds.
Yeah.
I mean,
So why
they
spend
got a
all
lot
that
of
money?
torque, but
And then there again, you spend $80,000 on a diesel. You're not getting all of this. It offers because you can't tune it. And the government, if you do tune it, you're not going to have no warranty on it.
oh yeah, I
You know,
know.
and from my understanding, the EPA now has really got down on that.
I've heard they've cracked down on it. Yeah.
And another buddy told me, he said, Wes, you know, now he said, you got to run, and then you got to run that DEF through them.
Mhm.
And then when you have to have that collection tank cleaned out, you got to pay big money to do that and clean the ashes out of it. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, you delete all that stuff, and you got to get a tune, and then you got to worry about getting caught.
hello. But there again, like I said, you know, if I was a millionaire, trillionaire, whatever, hell, I'd probably still have a gas truck. I might buy a diesel just to say, hey, I got a diesel. I can tow a house, even though I'm only towing a little boat up to Tennessee every now and then. I can tow a house if I want to because I got a diesel. That just don't make no sense to me, and that's just me.
I think that the 6.4 Hemi that was in that 2500 that you were looking at
Yeah.
is the same engine that's in the Hellcat.
Yeah, it is. It is. They had a Hellcat up there. I think they wanted 122,000 for it.
Mm.
Who pays that kind of money for a truck?
Like you said, man. All right, Wes. Well, hey, it's been a good show, guys. I hope you enjoy your trucks. I hope you do regular preventive maintenance on your trailers, and I hope you guys catch a lot of big fish this spring. And I guess we'll see you next Tuesday night on Real Fisherman.
All right. Appreciate everybody tuning
Good night.
in. Y'all wish me luck on my new truck. But you know, if I don't like it, you know, I'll raise hell. I'll say what's on my mind.
That's
But
right. Let us
I think I'm
know.
gonna like it.
All right, Wes. Good night. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Love you.
everybody. Y'all have a good one.